artificially inflates the entire market. And that, again, is exactly what's happening. But even beyond that is that now that these corporations and these private investment firms now own these homes, us little guys at the bottom will never get them back, because this is not generational anymore. It's not like if I buy a home and then I own it for, say, 40 or 50 years, I pass away and the home goes back up on the market. That doesn't happen with these corporations because they are an entity. It's not a person.
So this is what I was talking about. Also, the 508c1As that I'm looking into, you open up trust. You put all of your land, all of your property, all of your assets into the trust, and therefore the banks can't touch them. But stay posted, because I'm learning more about it, and I'm going to start sharing them more on my platform so that we can spread this information, learn together, and protect ourselves together.
So there is no passing away. There is no putting the home back on the market. It just stays with these companies. So what they do is they never sell them. And what they do instead is they rent or lease them. And of course, they're not going to rent them or lease them at market value. They're going to rent them or lease them at a value that is much higher because they control the market. So now, instead of you having an $1,800 a month mortgage, you now have to pay $2,500 a month in a rental or a lease agreement. And the worst part about that is that you never own the home. So you're basically throwing that money away just to have a roof over your head. And if by chance you ever want to leave that home, you don't get any of that money back. You've just thrown all that away. This is how they trap us in the system, and we never get to escape. And they trap us in multiple ways, because they trap us because we have to work much harder and a lot more just so that we can pay the mortgage, which is now inflated. And they trap us for life because we never own the home. We can never get out from under that payment that is going to be hanging over our head if we want to have a roof over our head. And the current forecasts that are out there, and you can look this up, state that by 2030, these corporations and these private investment firms are most likely going to own anywhere from 40 to 60% of all single-family homes in the country, in America, in North America. That is a terrible thing. So as you can see, it's not the people that are going out, they're buying, homes so they can rent them on Airbnb. It's not that. They tell us it's that so that they can cause more division, so that they can pit the average person against their neighbors. Because heaven forbid, the average person goes out there and buys a home and can actually compete with these mega corporations that are renting everything, and we can make some money outside of work. Heaven forbid we do that. That's the narrative they spin to us, though, is that it's your neighbor that's causing the problem. That is not what's happening. Is it inflation? I would say yes, in a way, but it's artificially created inflation. It's inflation that is allowed to happen, and I would say that it's enabled because our government and the people in charge certainly aren't stopping this. They're not creating laws to keep this from happening, and I would say it's kind of almost promoted because they're allowing it to happen, and that is only at the detriment of us small little guys here at the bottom. So this is not a housing crisis, as we are led to believe. This is a wealth transfer. It's a wealth transfer from the people to corporations and investment firms. That is exactly what is happening. And they have essentially created the problem, and now they're trying to sell us a solution. What is their solution? You can also look this up. They're now floating the idea of 50-year mortgages. Okay, so instead of creating laws around this kind of stuff and stopping these corporations and investment firms from doing this, they're saying, you know what? Let's roll with this and see how much money we can extract from the average person. Let's instead create 50-year mortgages. So now, instead of buying a $450,000 home with a interest rate of 6.25 and paying about $547,000 worth of interest over that 30 years, let's give them a 50-year mortgage so that we can lower the payment. So now, instead of the monthly payment being $2,771, it is now $2,452. We saved a couple $100 a month. But on the back end, that 50-year mortgage, we end up paying $1.02 million. So we just doubled the amount of interest that we paid on that same home by adding 20 years to that mortgage. But we saved a couple $100 a month. Does that really seem like it's worth it? Does that really seem like the solution to our problems? Giving us 20 more years to pay on a home, which you might as well say you're going to pay on that home for your entire life. You might as well be renting because you're never going to actually own it. Pay on that home for 50 years, so that you can lower your payments by a couple $100 a month. Stay trapped in the system your entire life and never get the chance to escape. Because how many people live 70, 80 years old? The average life expectancy is 74 if you're a male, 77 if you're a female. If you buy a home when you're 20 or 30, you're paying on that home your entire life. You never actually own it.
Let me tell you what happened last night. I opened Neon Arcade just to kill some time. It's full of mini games. Nothing special, right?
That is their solution. This is another psyop. They've created the problem. They're trying to sell us the solution, and the solution isn't even that good. So as you can see, this is all a psyop. It's all fabricated. And this is just one more way to keep the average little guy trapped, to keep us in the system, to keep us working our entire lives. That is exactly what they want. And if this continues, they're going to get what they want. Because the way things are going right now, these private investment firms, these corporations, they're buying homes and they're buying them up in droves. And it's going to continue. Over the next 4 years or so, they're probably going to own 40 to 60% of the homes in America if we don't do something about it. If we don't start speaking up about this, getting very vocal and pushing back. The future generation, it's going to look very bleak for them if we don't start doing something. And here's the problem with this, is that we get on social...
We must, because it's a cycle too, right? So the parents take care of the kids become wiser to take care of us as we get older, right? So it's a pattern. So we have to learn what we can, share what we can when we can, share the information, share the resources, come together with ideas, create a community, and build. So we literally have to turn this platform and other platforms into an educational classroom for us all, where we're sharing information, we're commenting, and we're spreading more ideas and more information, more resources and more knowledge, and then connecting more dots and like creating a community literally online. Let's utilize this time, this space, this opportunity, these resources like the phones and the internet and these channels in order to connect, collab, and to really build something sustainable for ourselves and our families. So just stay tuned. This is my first time watching this video also. I just saw the topic, his title, and then also because I've already been researching and studying these things as well, opening a 508c1a, turning my name into a business so that I can pull away from the system and become a foreign national, and then open a trust and put all of your assets into the trust. And therefore, once it's in a trust under, your name, then they can't touch any of it. But I'm still learning it, and I'm going to create more content, and I'm going to share it. So subscribe and stay tuned and just learn with me and collab with me, and let's grow together and learn together and help each other.
Media, and we gripe about it. We do exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm putting information out there and people see it, but the problem with that is that nothing ever gets done. And I would say that this information, don't get me wrong, it is very, very important. It is very important for us to know what's going on and to know the truth. I'm a firm believer in that. But I think what has happened is that we have so much information being pushed to us 24/7. And we're able to push this information out. We're able to share it. And that gives us the false perception, the idea that we're actually doing something about this. And in a way, we kind of are, because we're sharing the information. We're making people aware of stuff. And the first piece to overcoming a problem is realizing that you have one. But if we just take the information in and we learn, but we don't actually take action, that's a major problem. And I think that's kind of what's happening. So knowing and understanding that is also key to overcoming this problem. So now that we know that we're doing that, it's not enough to just gripe about it. It's not enough to just talk about it. It's not enough to just share it. That's the first step in this process, but we also need to make sure that we start actively doing things to push back against this. So with that said, what can we do? I think there are a couple things that we can do that may move the needle on this, that may actually make a change or lead to a change. And the first thing I would say is to stop buying into these psyops, to stop believing that your neighbor is the enemy, because that is not the case. Obviously, the enemy is the people at the top. It's the people doing all this stuff, and the people that are not creating laws around this stuff. Those people are the ones that are creating most of the problems in our lives. They're creating most of the division. They're the ones telling us that we should hate our neighbor. So one of the things that we can do to push back against this is to realize that this is happening. Realize that most of this is a psyop. And just by you listening to this and sharing this, that is a step in the right direction. Secondly, I would say that if you have ever thought about owning a home, now is the time to do it, because over the next 4 years or so, you're going to have a hard time finding a home, especially an affordable home. And it's also important to understand, as I talked about with the psyops, not to believe in the idea that all
unless you build a tiny home. And I've been looking up those two, and they're pretty affordable. You can build your own for only a few thousand, and they even have some that are already coming ready-made. I guess it's just if you have a family and the size of it, then you need to kind of look into that. But that is my suggestion to people, are tiny homes, being more minimalist. Like, that's also another solution, consuming less. And then also being more minimal, watching what you consume. Stop consuming so much food, consuming so many products, shopping on Amazon all the time, so your house is like hoarders. Like, downsize, start to reduce the stuff that's in your home, and then stop buying so much stuff, and then look for tiny homes to live in that are self-sustainable, or more cost efficient, more bang for your buck. You're not paying for space that you're not using, that you have to heat and AC and furnish and clean and all these things, that you're using extra energy that you don't need. Time to turn to minimalism, at least during these times, until things can shift and change. So it's just time to adjust with the times.
homes are $500,000, because that is simply not the case. I own 2 homes. They are paid for, and one of those homes I bought last year. It is a prime real estate home. It's a lakefront property. It's overlooking a lake just like this one, and I did not pay $500,000 for that home. It was less than $200,000, so this is still possible. But you do have to get outside the city. So if you've ever thought about owning a home,
For sure.
I would say look in rural communities, look outside the city, and that is where I would start pricing.
Yes, and when you're starting to look for land to purchase to build your own tiny homes, or to set your own tiny homes up, you're gonna have to look for like zoning and coding, because they have a lot of zoning and coding. I just posted a short on it where this guy was building this so cool tree house. It was so fire. It was like up in the tree. That's what I've always wanted to, was one of those, but I want so many different tiny homes in different locations. And like, his was in a tree house, like his wife and him made one in a tree house, and it looks so fire. But they had so many issues with zoning and coding, and they were building it on the same property as their parents' home, and they were building it, they already built it first on the land behind their parents' home, and then the zoning came along and was like, oh no, you can't have this because da 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 da, whatever rules and regulations. He went on and on about it. It was so much. So you do have to check into those things, because of codes and zoning and rules and regulations of the government. And each county, it's like state to state is different, and then county to county is different. So just check on those things, but it's gonna be worth the due diligence in order to save yourself some coins, and then putting it into a trust. But again, stay tuned, subscribe. We're gonna start sharing more of this information.
Your homes. I do this a lot because I'm still trying to get into investing. I still look for homes in rural areas, and I can tell you right now that I look in a bunch of different states, and there are still very affordable homes out there. So don't fall for the narrative of not believing your lying eyes. Do your own research. Believe what your eyes are telling you. See the stuff for yourself. And you're going to find that homes are not quite as expensive as we are led to believe if you get outside the city, if you're willing to go out into a rural area somewhere. And something else that also ties into this is that if you do own a home, or you end up buying a home within the next couple of years, don't sell out. Because there are a lot of corporations, there are a lot of investment firms that are looking to buy you out. And they're looking to buy you out for a exorbitant price. They're going to give you 20 to 30% of the market value, and in some cases it's going to be much higher than that. So have some integrity. You know, I understand that everybody needs money, but think about the impacts of this. Think about what happens if you sell your home.
That, and stop. And when I'm saying don't consume, stop spending your money at all of these huge corporations that are contributing to this, contributing to us, with the inflation and the markups, and they're the ones investing and buying the houses so that they can create other corporations. You know what I'm saying? So like the more you're investing in these companies, like all these corporations like McDonald's, Amazon, Starbucks, they're the ones that are contributing to this. So if you continue to feed into the consumption of those corporations that are creating our suffering, then you are contributing to our suffering as a unit.
For 20 to 30% above asking price to someone that is not a person. It is not a good thing. It is very detrimental to our country. It's detrimental to the people around you, the people that you probably care about. It's detrimental to you because think about this. You have to live in this country.
Yes.
You exist here. So that's not a good thing if the price of homes go up, because if all these people start selling their homes for 20 to 30% above asking price just because you want to upgrade, when you upgrade, you're probably not going to get that much better of a home. So keep these things in mind. Don't be so quick to sell out. If you own a home, be happy with it. Understand and realize that you can always upgrade it. You can do things to make it your own. It doesn't have to be exactly the way it was when you bought it. And this is especially true for people that own farms, because if you own a farm and you sell that land, there's a very good chance that if you're not selling it to another person that intends to farm it, that land is lost forever. It's going to be developed. There's a very real possibility that an AI data center or some,
which is what they want. These corporations, this is what they want, because you know they've already been poisoning our food supplies. You know they've already been messing with the farmlands. That's why Bill Gates has like almost 90% of our farmlands. And then like a lot of the farmers, if you go on social media, the farmers will record that the government will be hovering over their land with helicopters and have sent them letters stating that they need to destroy their crops and they're going to get paid money for it. And if they don't destroy it willingly and accept the pay, then they'll come and destroy it for them with no pay. So of course the farmers are then forced to choose, do I go ahead and take the money and do this, and yes, the rest of the community and other households suffer, or and all of that work that they did to harvest that goes to waste, or do they go ahead and let the government come in and burn it and destroy it and not get any money? And so they're stuck in a hard place, and that's what's happening. So if you sell your farmlands, which is what they want, which is complete control over our food supply, then we're going to be codependent on all of the food supply that they're now making predominantly in labs. So I was watching some documentaries also, which I'm going to start sharing with you guys, where it was literally doing documentaries and interviews with a lot of the scientists that are already in the labs, where they're already making tons and tons and tons of food in a lab from human cells. Some of them were from human cells. And the guy was like, well, we have more experience working with animals than human. I mean, we are human and in the medical industry. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, they're literally already making bulk supply, like huge supplies of human cell grown meat. So they're gonna turn us into cannibals, which I don't eat meat any longer, thank goodness. But I definitely notice a difference with people's health and mental state for those that still eat meat and dairy.
Sort of infrastructure is going to be placed on that farmland, and we will never get it back. That is prime real estate that we will lose forever. And this is happening on a major scale. And I do understand that this is a personal choice. We all have to make a decision that's best for us. And in some cases, selling your home is inevitable. Some people need the money. Some people need to move. It's just going to happen from time to time. But if you do have to sell, swallow your pride, have some integrity, and sell to a person. Sell to a person at market value. Don't be tempted by this carrot that is dangling in front of us. And that carrot being the inflated asking price that these corporations and these private investment firms are willing to offer. And I would say another very impactful way to push back against this is to stop buying into consumerism. Because I think it goes without saying that the less that you have, the less that you need and require, the more money you're going to have. And that's money that you could either put into your home or that you could put towards a down payment for a home or into buying a home. So, we get this idea that we need all this stuff, that we have to be surrounded by all this crap. And in a lot of cases, it's new stuff. We have to go out and we have to buy the new car, or we have to buy the massive.
And let's face it, the quality of products are garbage. Is it just me, or like, for some reason, when I work really hard for things and then I go and I buy them, it never lasts, or the quality of it is such poor quality, or it rips, or the material, the fabric is so dingy, and I'm like, what? Why did I pay X amount of dollars for this? And it was like so expensive, and the fabric, the material was so cheap. and it doesn't last. And then I'll go to like Salvation Army thrifting, and they'll have like older stuff there for like pennies, and they'll be like the best items I've ever had. Like my summer sandals that I had last year came from Salvation Army, and it was like the cheapest shoes ever, and they freaking lasted me for forever. And so now I don't even buy brand new clothes. And these are just things that people have to start choosing and deciding for themselves, like what's important to you: your peace, your sanity, your health, the future of your family, and the stability of your lives, or just freaking having material things just to waste and squander while you're like using your life force and your time and your health to like pay for these things that just don't mean anything, that you're going to store away and hoard, or end up having to throw away, or you're going to pass away because a lot of y'all are unhealthy, and then other people are going to come and throw it away or salvage through it because you're going to be freaking dead. So you're not even going to be here to do anything with it. So someone else is going to go through it and keep it or sell it or make money off of it or throw it away, or who knows. But like a lot of people go to Salvation Army and go thrifting there, and a lot of the people that donate there are people that have like our family members or spouses or whoever that freaking lost their relatives and they had to clear their house out. And I go to so many real estate yard sales, and those people pass away, and all of the stuff that they hoard is just given away, and they're just collecting stuff. I had to tell my mom this here recently because I'm an empath and I do a lot of spiritual healer work, and my mom had, her energy wasn't well, so the last couple of times I visited her, she buys a ton of stuff. She's such a consumer. I'm like, Mom, you have to do something with all of this stuff. Like, none of us want you to leave us any money behind. Just travel, live your life. You've worked a lot, you've lived a hard life, like live and enjoy life, but all this stuff in here, you need to figure it out and start selling it, getting rid of it, downsizing, because none of us want it and none of us are going to want to go through it. So you need to go ahead and start doing it while you're alive, because at any day, like, you know what I mean, you could pass away. Her health is not well. So while you have your health, you need to start going through your stuff and minimizing, because if you want to really live your life freely, you want to travel, you want to do all these things, you don't need all these things that people hoard and keep. Like, you want to be free. Stop hoarding things. It's like not worth it. Someone else is going to have to do something with it. So that's food for thought also, as we all begin to transition and make adjustments in our lives.
House. But if we really sit down and think about what we actually need in life, it's not all these things.
No.
These are not the things that are important. And yes, you might need a mode of transportation. Yes, you might need a home. But do you actually need a $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 vehicle or an $80,000 vehicle? Or can you get by, like I do, with a $3,000 or $4,000 used car?
That's what I'm looking.
That's what I've been driving my entire life. $3,000 is the most I've ever spent on a vehicle. And I refuse to buy something new. That has served me very well in life. That's one of the major reasons why I don't have a mortgage on either of my homes. It's because I don't buy into this consumerism mindset. And it really just comes down to that.
Kudos to you.
Just requiring less. Stop buying so much stuff. Again, the less that you buy and the less that you need, the more money you're going to have. And that is money that you could put towards buying a home. And if you can take action on this pretty quickly, maybe there's a chance that you'll be able to afford a home before we're all priced out of homes. And also keep in mind that...
Exactly. Think about how much money you could save, that you could go and get like a $10,000 acre land, make payments on it, and then put a 15 to 20, like a $10,000 to $15,000 tiny home on it that's already built. Like, I see so many cool, luxurious looking tiny homes for like 20 grand, 25 grand. Like, it's bizarre. Like, people don't think about this stuff, but I'm going to start sharing it more on here. So hopefully you guys will open up your minds to, this lifestyle.
When we buy into consumerism and we buy all this new stuff, most of the new stuff that we buy is from these large mega corporations. And these large mega corporations are the same ones that are going around buying up all these homes, because these large corporations are owned by the same private investment firms. They're the same private investment firms that are buying up all the single family homes, that are pricing us out of a place to live. So why in the world would we want to contribute to their bottom dollar? Because when we buy from these corporations and we buy all this crap and we participate in consumerism, that is exactly what we are doing. We are funding the corporations, and that in turn is funneling trillions and trillions of dollars into the pockets of these private investment firms. The same ones that own pretty much everything in the country. The same ones that control over $13 trillion worth of assets and have more money than the entire GDP of China. It's the same ones. So why would you want to contribute to and support the same people that are basically screwing all of us over? Personally, I don't, because I also understand that every dollar that I do not use to contribute to them is a dollar that they don't have. That is $1 that they are essentially weaker. And that might not sound like it's going to make a difference, but if you have millions and millions of people that would be spending millions and millions of dollars every single day on stuff they don't need, that now stop doing that, they start losing a lot of money. And since money is the only thing they care about, when they see that, they start to realize that, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe we should kind of pull back on this, and maybe we should change. Because if we lose the funding, which is the people, we're going to lose everything.
Right.
So really what this all comes down to is voting with our dollars, spending our dollars wisely. Because every single dollar we spend is a vote cast. We can either cast that vote towards these people that are screwing us,
Against
or we
us.
can spend it in places where it's actually going to work for us. There are several ways to do that. We can buy a home, we can buy investments, we can make our money work for us, and we can also start
Open
shopping
trust.
locally. We can buy things from our local community.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very impactful way to push back against this kind of stuff, because when we
Yes.
do that, that is going to keep these farms and these local businesses in business. And when they're in business, they don't sell out. They don't sell out to these private investment firms or these corporations. And that is us retaining these critical resources that if we lose, we'll never get back. So the next time you think you need something, consider buying local. Consider buying from people in your local community instead of buying from these corporations. And of all the things on this list, I would say that this is one of the most impactful, because the only thing
Yes, and so small business owners that have things like one of my shorts I had posted like this loofah that grows in nature, and I've had so many hits on that, and so many of you guys have been so awesome with like communicating with me, sharing your thoughts, how to make your own soap, giving me other resources and stores where I can buy more holistic natural products. That's what this platform is for. So you guys comment, you guys share your ideas. We're going to spread and grow this stuff. We are going to strengthen our community and our unity within ourselves and our households and our communities online together. And we're going to do it freaking episode by episode of what I share with you guys. So just connect with me more and subscribe and just stay tuned in so that you guys can check out all the other content that I'm kind of going through and learning from, and I'm going to start, reacting to them and sharing my reactions and like my thoughts about it and like other things that I'm learning as well, so that you guys can kind of see what I'm going through to get my information and what I'm learning as well.
these people care about, the people at the top, is money. That is what drives all this. They would not be buying all these homes, and they would not be renting and leasing them out to people for life if they didn't care about money. Everything that they do is profit and greed driven. That is the name of the game.
Control.
So the less money that we can contribute towards these people, the less power they are going to have.
Yeah.
And if you really think about this, we have actually enabled this behavior ourselves, because we have chosen convenience over quality.
Yeah,
We have
ignorance.
bought from these large mega corporations, and we have allowed this to happen just because of where we spend our time and attention and where we spend our money. That is the most fundamentally important thing to understand and realize. So now that we realize that, let's start spending our money where it matters, where it counts,
Yes.
where it can work for us.
Yes.
Let's put our money in places that can actually make a difference and secure our future.
Yeah.
And by spending our money wisely and voting with our dollars, that is exactly what we're doing. And lastly, one other way to combat this is to just get vocal, get loud. It is high time that we start really pushing back on this stuff, and we start informing everybody around us about the truth. Everyone needs to know exactly what's happening. They need to be able to see through the illusion. They need to be able to identify these things as the psyops that they are, and to see the truth of the matter. So be sure to share this message. Share it with the people in your community. Share it with your friends, your family. Share it on social media if you use that kind of stuff. And just get the word out there.
Yeah.
Help people understand what is happening and what they can do themselves to combat
help
against this
us.
stuff. What we can do collectively to combat against this stuff. And I would not stop at just sharing this stuff in your community and sharing it on social media. I would also get very vocal and very loud with my local government, with my local leaders, if you want to call them that. And that is exactly what I plan to do. As a matter of fact, my local community has been doing just that, because just a few short months ago, we had an AI data center that was getting ready to come in and consume over 100 acres of farmland. And the people showed up en masse and got vocal enough that they actually put a halt on that AI data center. And that is the power of community. That is the power of unity. So it's high time that we stop being so divided and we band together and we start telling these people what we actually think of these situations. Because it's easy to think that us as individuals, us little guys here at the bottom, we could never create change.
Yes,
and
we
that
can.
might be the case
And
if
we
it's just
are.
one person screaming or two people screaming. But when you have thousands or millions of people screaming all the same thing at the same time, it becomes impossible not to notice. It becomes impossible for them not to hear it. And if they hear it enough, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to start to listen. Especially when you combine that, when you combine being vocal and you combine getting loud about this with all the other things we just talked about, with not buying into consumerism, with voting with our dollars, with seeing the truth and seeing through the illusions and spreading the information. All these things compound, and eventually the truth is heard far and wide. It becomes impossible to ignore, and change at that point has to happen. It becomes inevitable.
Got a pile of clothes you never wear anymore?
Oh gosh. I
Turn
tried
them
to
into
pause
cash
it,
with
it's too
Vinted.
late.
Snap a photo?
Okay. So anyways. So yeah. So I'm going to end it here, but stay tuned, subscribe, share, spread this information. Also, go ahead and leave a comment if you have any ideas also that you want to add. Also, if you have any small businesses you yourself are working on, or you know of anyone, like let's say the Holistic Soaps, or you know of farmlands or whatever, list the different local farmlands down here, even if it's in different states. Let them know what state and the name of the local farm. If you have an online store that, you know what I mean, that you want to promote, drop it in the comments. That can help the people. That will be a healthier alternative. If you have healthier alternative things, you know, like if you have something on eBay or something that's going to pull people away from Amazon, something that's going to pull people away from Starbucks or McDonald's, all these things, we have to pull away from consumerism, from all these corporations. So if you have a small business, please shoot it down and list it down in the comments so that people can reach out to you. If you have any land for sale for cheap, put it down in the comments also. Thank you guys. If you have any ideas, go ahead and just join the community of Humble Hearts Hindsight, where we keep a humble heart, but yet we progress together with life experiences, staying humble and staying united and staying at peace with ourselves and each other. Till next time, ciao for now. Peace and love.